at Styles FM. This is the Metamorphosis. We are in the month of January, and at this point on the calendar, we're literally one half of the journey through 1 month already. So there is movement along the calendar. There is movement in time. And so we have to begin to recognize that the present is consistent and that the present really moves into the past. So it's critical that we focus much ado on the present. So the reasoning in this metamorphosis wants to go to a level of self-analysis and asking some very fundamental questions and attempting to provide responses. Because the world in this Western Hemisphere and the globe in general is under a new order of communication, a new style of governance, of leadership at the highest level of world politics. And it is having an effect on the entire planet, our systems, economic, political, and social systems. So I am saying now to the ones who are listening that we need to draw closer to self for examination. In the media and around the world, there are some reverberations, some shocking reverberations coming from the utterances of our leader that has resonated in so many places and spaces that if you ever thought that word is only wind without realizing the power of wind, it's time to reassess that cliche, because there is power in word. Now the words that were uttered from the highest level of governance in the United States has caused ripples throughout all places. And I want to just take a perspective to use that set of words that were uttered as a way to enter into a discourse that would never really have perhaps happened if these words weren't uttered. And the strange thing about the words that were uttered by the leadership of the United States is that these words have been uttered many times and in many different places. But what we have facing us in this dispensation is a sharp difference between what one could call overt and what one would call covert. And I as a people must use this opportunity now to look between the lines to see if we can fathom what is the reality that is the basis of the power that allow these people to be able to express themselves these ways. So what I'm really getting at now is that the President of the United States utter some sounds. And not only the President of the United States utter some sounds, the fiancé of a parliamentary leader in the United Kingdom, she also uttered some sounds against the woman who's going to go into the royal family and bring in blackness. This woman has uttered that it's a mistake the royal family is making because there's a danger that the king in the future could be a black king. So I'm saying this now to say all of this. The utterances that came out of Washington that identified certain nations and groups of people as domiciled in holes of fecal matter. I think it is time that those people took a serious look at themselves. And rather than get angry at the utterance, recognize that the difference now in this time is that there's no more gloves. The gloves have been taken off. And the political correctness has been removed. And what we're seeing now is the naked, raw essence of the thing that people are querying now, what they are calling now out loud as racism. So the metamorphosis will engage into exploring what is this thing called racism? How does it function? How was it generated? How was it the genesis of this thing? Can a black man be racist in America? Is racism something that black people can practice? Or is it deeper than copying a behavior? Does it go deeper than just simply uttering that you hate the person? What is it that motivates that hatred? What is the foundation behind the hatred that we see expressed when we hear about conflicts between races? So we're going to explore now the concept of a race. What is a race? Do you belong to a race? What are the criteria for defining a race? So the president was asked, Mr. President, are you racist? And after 24 hours, the president said, I am the least racist person in the whole world. Yes, he had 24 hours to formulate that, and his whole team came up with that. That he is the least racist person on the earth. So I and I are going to engage into this exploration into what is race, what is racism, what is an ism, what is the meaning of ism. So we have to understand now what is the concept of race, what is the meaning of ism, where the concept of ism come from. We just hear about all kinds of isms, Catholicism, social and communism. And we hear about racism. We hear about Nazism. So what the heck is a ism? So we have to explore and come to some analytical understanding as to what is it I face if the president of America is, as everybody knows, is claiming, is a racist. And was not George Bush also racist? Was Ronald Reagan not racist? So we're seeing some differences now. And here we come to overt and covert. And what is it we want to exist within? A situation where things are done covertly so we can pretend, or we want to have things done overtly so we can come to know. Yeah, it's things that I and I have to contemplate. It has nothing to do with the character who make the sound. Because the man who made the sound represents a billionaire oligarchy that is in league with the military complex that is driving the American empire to its final days. So as black people in this, what you call new year, we have to begin to really examine now, because we see where racial slurs and disgraceful remarks are literally now becoming normal. It's almost being normalized now, because when these sounds are uttered at that level of leadership, it makes you get a serious feeling about the fellowship. So rather than, grumble and quarrel, we'll make an analysis as to what is happening with the leadership that has been acquired by default. And is it by default that the unit is also coming? Because we see the women in the United States have united in black. What a thing. They never put down All white to unite, All put on black to show solidarity. And that is all in response to, the front grabber in the White House. And we see where other nations and groups are organizing themselves in response. So, black man time to reorganize and centralize around issues that relevant to black people. Homeland. Homeland security can't be the same thing for the black man as it is for the white American Anglo-Saxon. Because that is not the black man's homeland, where him is right there. So we have to reconsider and reconfigure and rethink. Carly Brethren and Sister in Metamorphosis here. Still in. Daily I. Yes, I give thanks again for an opportunity to reason with the item. And for the item to get an opportunity to reason sometimes with the item himself. Because sometimes we hear ourselves so often, we don't even know what it is to hear something different. And sometimes we have to challenge ourselves with things that we think we know. And we make space to empty out that new knowledge can flow. So, we want to work from a perspective now of identity and knowing what is it that the population of black people now must make part of them agenda. Because the leadership of the United States, who by default has been the world leader, or well, not even by default, by force, coming from the superpower era, was recognized as a world leader. And that leadership now is beginning to show serious decay. And in that decayed state, it is impacting the entire globe. So, 1 year later, the world has to settle now with the fact that the President of the United States is Donald J. Trump. It is no longer an idea or a proposition or somebody's hope. It is now the reality. And a lot of people are having a difficult time with this reality, because this reality now is coming from a foundation that was always in America. And the general expressions of this type of leadership now was always a part of America from the days of its enslavement and cotton farms and so on. But the behavior was subdued and called and pushed to the level that it was only expressed occasionally. So it moved from the level that we will call overt, which is openly, and it became covert, undercover. So forces of destruction, forces of hatred that were within the people who were the enslavers. Okay? Apparently those feelings don't just disappear. They find different ways to hide within them, the whole makeup of the person. So we find that the hatred as a genesis. And so we'll have to really begin to examine how did this hatred for the black man develop? What did the black people do to develop for the white people to develop this level of hatred? So before we even go there, so now, we ask a question from the beginning. Do you belong to a race? And if the answer is yes, how do you make that distinction? What are the criteria? What are the elements that make up a race? Because in today's academic way of thinking, the idea being pushed is that there is no race except the human race. So this except the human race now is a new construct, because apparently there have been several races before. So somebody playing around with the language and somebody playing around with the ideas. So we have to explore what is a race. We have to also look into the whole concept now of the ism. What is the ism part that is attached to race? Because the president is being accused of being a racist. And it is interesting that in the beginning of this journey by DJ Trump, it was very obvious that he had no affinity for women in terms of respect and regard. He showed the same type of attitude towards the Muslims. And he showed the same type of attitude to people who were what we call disabled. So all along, this virgin has been demonstrating some behavior that you would think is un-American. But the outburst now really reached a climax last week, because this brethren on a campaign, he has an agenda. And so last week now when the brethren declare that certain countries in the world and certain people in the world, him really rather them stay at them house, enough for them all. And he rather have people come from places like Norway, which is Northern Europe. So it's really like for the first time now, him step on the con of black people who don't really even live in America necessarily. See it? So when him was previously speaking and being in bullied way between on the North American continent and bullying up the North Koreans and trying to bully up the Europeans, him never really said nothing too tough about African and black people too tough enough to really get anybody riled up. But him utter a statement this time and everybody get bringle. I'm trying to find out now, based upon this, is whether the president is a racist. No, when I was a youth coming up in Jamaica, I had no concept of racism. I had no concept of what or who a racist is or was. I never even knew that I didn't even belong to a race. That is how naive I was to any concept or consciousness of anything called race. What my society at that time had imposed upon me as knowledge is that there were certain classes of people. And these classes of people had earned them status because them had economic power and them had status, land and money and them things there. So, and I was coming up on the system where in his class they used to tell I about. So when I went to school, there were children, they have different races. Chinese and Indians and mixed races and all. But there was no awareness that there were any distinction between I and I as people. We all saw ourselves as youths. But when I and I forward into the belly of the whale in North America, and particularly involved in the realm of sports, it's just so I man kind of realize some me black, you know. Yeah, man, I never did know in Jamaica. And in Jamaica, I did black like tar. And I never did know. So, consciousness about being black and belonging to a race don't get much highlight on a place like Jamaica, at least when I was coming through. And even so to today, the consciousness of race is not identified here, which is perhaps part of the rationale why them could have get rid of a man like Marcus Garvey. Because Marcus Garvey's first principle was race first. So there is something about race that I and I must come to grips with. And coming to grips with it don't make you full of hatred, necessarily. So, we're going to speak to race, racism. What is a racist? And you see the term ism now. It is such a serious word that I had to do a little exploration as to where this word come from. Ism. Because I know that as a man who had to journey through the academy and get into and out of these tertiary situations, I hear that they were trying to attach ism to Rastafari and try to claim it that is a way to study Rastafari. Well, I reject that ism thing long time. But from the academic perspective now, when you recognize what ISM mean, literature shows you that the first time them bring this phrase together was in the 1600s, 1680 and thereabouts. This phrase called ism is a suffix. In other words, you cannot touch it onto a body, to a word already that has a root. And what it really does now is, what am I say, change, make a noun action, give action to a noun, which is normally what a verb would do. We're coming. Hold it up.
Are you thinking of a place, extraordinary place where you can get a wide variety of Jamaican cuisine, scrumptious local dishes, and at the most affordable price? Zilla's Kitchen has the widest menu to suit your appetite and lifestyle. We're located at Bridge Street, Port Antonio. Place your order for pickup or delivery service. Call us at 453-6030. That's 453-6030. Zilla's Kitchen, the restaurant of choice. We never close. We never close.
Start your foundation with the #1 block factory and hardware supplier in Portland. DIB Block Factory and Hardware Supplies Limited. They have large stocks of high-quality construction and hardware supplies. From electrical, plumbing, painting supplies, and building materials, DIB Block Factory and Hardware Supplies has you covered. Visit any of the locations in St. Margaret's Bay, Port Antonio, or Buff Bay. Call 993-4415 or 913-3530 or email DIB_block@yahoo.com. DIB Block Factory and Hardware Supplies Limited. Your foundation starts with them.
Planning a party, club night out, stage show, a gospel concert, or even a business sales event? Let Styles FM be a part of your promoting tool. Take advantage of our low-priced promotion packages with commercials, interviews, giveaways, reviews, and much more. We have special offers when you mix and match and bundle your options. Contact us at 876-286-9216 or 439-5160. Styles FM for the most effective way to exploit your marketing dollar.
Clifford Guest House, sponsor of Metamorphosis on Monday nights from 9 p.m. to 12 midnight with Dr. Iman Blak. Located at 15 Queen Street, Port Antonio, that's Titchfield Hill. They offer accommodations for up to 1 month. Call them at 285-0610 for more information.
My way is long, but the road is foggy, foggy. My way is long, so long, but the road is foggy, foggy. My head never swell, my heart never lit, I never have no fear from within. My head never swell, my heart never lit, I never have no fear from within. So the road is so foggy, foggy, yeah. Can hardly see. Jaja is my eyesight. Be with I, be with I. Be with I, Jaja. Jaja, be with I. Ayana, 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 ay. Me and them that stay tight. Me and them just fight against us. Some of them are judge wrongfully, but never mind, my brother, I will go on. The road is a foggy, foggy. Road is a foggy, foggy.
Metamorphosis continues. So, what is causing the disturbance now in the global psychology is that the President of America pointed out to Haiti and to the certain African countries that him call holes of fecal matter. And when the people who live in these places now hear that, it's disturbing. And when the people look at each other, they realize that they have something in common. What is it that is in common between the people of Haiti and the people of Africa? What is it that they have in common? Because the lands are far apart. But they both get lumped into the same hole. So them people, you know, and all others who understand what's going on have to take a very different perspective now to what's going on. So these people now who come from Haiti, what is it about them? What is so different about Haiti that is such a deep hole? And you know, there are a lot of Jamaicans right here who have an inbuilt feeling that Haiti is a place of evil. Because that has been the strength of the white propaganda. And that we think that Haiti is a land of disease. So the propaganda of it in such a way that, we don't recognize the connection even between the people of Haiti and the people of Jamaica, much less the people of Haiti and the people of Africa. So what Trump has done now has drawn a specific reference now to a set of people by them race. He did it slightly in America with the football. But because professional football is not just black man alone playing, it kind of just rub the nerve edge. But you say this claim now gone outside of America. And it gone into Africa, gone into Haiti, and if it's into Haiti, it's into Jamaica. And it forced CARICOM as a body representing the region have some self-respect to reject and repudiate the comments by the president. We don't hear it from our local leaders because they may be too fearful to speak to the bully. So what we're looking at now is a chance for black people to close ranks. Because what we're seeing is a type of leadership that was achieved through default. God, the virgin who entered the race didn't expect to even get so far. Surprised himself that he win and tried to back out when it was too late. So the people of the world now have to accept the methodology of this madness. And so African people, Haitians, Jamaicans, have to realize there's a writing, a script being written. And it has to do with race. So all those who are hiding and in denial of the concept of race will get a beaten. So again, we're looking into what is race. Ask the initial question, do you belong to a race? And how do you know? Is there such thing as a mixed race? And in a mixed race, is there anything dominant within the mix? Because certainly there is no such thing as 50-50 mix in the bloodlines. So the concept of race, I man say, we're going to go through that from different perspectives. But we want to just look at ism first now. Because racism is what seems to be the rampant, deviant force now that surface and running on the top now. And we can, within our own intelligence, know that racism was always in existence within certain societies. Just that maybe it was never so overt. And if you see how the societies are developed, plantation societies, racism is a driving force. Because once you have African populations enslaved by Europeans, it's one race against another race. So the genesis of racism within that context now is really the European invasion. European invading the lands of melanin people. Coming not to learn to improve quality of life, but coming to conquer. So once you come in with a conquering mentality now, you're going to have to come and demonstrate some form of superiority. And that attitude now is going to breed up a mentality of domination. So the hatred is something that is deeply psychological. Because what is it that the black people have that they're not willing to share or give away to white people that create and sustain this hatred? So you have to check yourself. You have to check what is the nature of our race. So the ism now that they have attached to race, ism is defined as a distinctive doctrine that is usually oppressive, or it is a cause or a theory, usually oppressive and especially discriminatory in its attitude or belief. So if that is the nature of ism, and you begin to attach that concept now to race, you begin to see why black people now are treated a certain type of way, because within the ism of white racism is a doctrine that is based on discrimination. Metamorphosis. Greetings. Greetings. All right, try again. Try again on that call. Okay. So, as I said to the item now, this notion of ism, the most ancient Rastafari used to tell people all the way, say, right now, Rastafari is ism and schism, you know. Without having any dictionary meaning necessarily, you know, but just know so this ism and schism thing as a problematic. Metamorphosis, come true. Greetings. All right, so we're losing the connection. Right. So we're saying about this idea, this suffix, ISM, that you can drop it behind capital and have capitalism, which is again a theory that is basically oppressive and is based upon discrimination, because it's all about the greedy. There is also the notion of baptism. So I said to the item now, we could use up the technology and information around me and look into the constructs of the language and the words that them give us to hold on to. And examine this ism, and that these set of ideas now constructed in the ism attached to race by white people. If we begin to reject some of those ideas. Commentary again. Greetings.
You Rastafari.
Rastafari.
Mighty, mighty, mighty eye.
All right.
I want to keep the balance with the queen, you know?
Seeing?
Yeah, the queen.
So
man. I say Iman Blak.
Hold on. This man coming from far out?
Iman family at the big mango.
All right, my brother. All right. You come out of the snow.
Yeah, man.
You come out of the snow.
Right at the cold.
All right,
it's
all right.
Cold.
Hold it tight. So what the man say?
Mighty. Yeah, you know, I want to check out this lady. I don't have a great knowledge of her, but I did heard. And some update, some history. There was given some history and the FMI with there about a lady that was that used to write for His Imperial Majesty at the time when His Imperial Majesty was in exile, sent out all the letters and things like that. What's her right name?
I know who that person is.
She was the first black woman that worked on BBC in England.
Oh, I don't have the name on the tip of my head now. But
she's from St. Elizabeth, Santa Cruz, I think. She got Hamptons High School.
All right. So what are you saying about her?
Huh?
What you saying about her?
I hear you clearly now.
What you saying about that lady?
What I'm saying about her?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to get some more insight on her. I not clearly know her name. I think her name supposed to be Yona Marston or something like that.
Okay.
I really want to get the right spelling and things like that.
I hear you. I know that name. I know the name, Yona Marston. I'm not sure what she has done. But I can find out and get in touch with her and reason for that still, you know?
Yeah, we want to get some more details on her, you know?
All right.
Yeah, so I like the idea.
Yeah, man, we get a little insight,
research and
serious.
Get some pull up on her, you know?
True.
And we know the eyes about the real female. Me ask if you play a song.
Yeah.
And me always hear you've been well call it now, you are bringing forward to people to want attention, or when you are bringing to one knowledge and understanding about the power of the female and things like that. But the year song I really want to play still. Since that you always speak of shelter what you need. I need it to play.
Yeah.
I need a roof.
Mighty Diamonds. Mighty Diamonds.
So that's the shelter. You hear when I say I need a roof?
Definitely.
That's the mighty one there.
All right.
The
Rastafari.
that tune there.
Yes, I.
But you know the reason. So give thanks.
All right.
Last time we not try reason with the eye, but we couldn't get through to the eye because we hear the eye and the cunning one together, you know?
Yes, sir. Yes.
And it was a great reasoning, you know?
All right,
and give thanks to the man them present in greatness.
See now.
Yeah, man. Black Road Sound and Power. Yes, sir?
Powers.
Mighty love.
Highly. No, I never come in contact with this force called racism while I was living in Jamaica as a youth. It just wasn't really in the atmosphere. It wasn't necessarily in the system. It just was an unknown force. But you see, once you come off of this land and move into the greater North American plantation, boy, I tell you, you begin to run up in some not just cold weather climatically, but some cool attitudes and some cool meditations. Yeah, man, because the place different. And it has a different story to it. One of much violence and brutality because the empire was built on the backs of African people. The blood of Africans built that American empire. The same blood that built these Caribbean spaces for the looting to take place to go into Europe. It's the same people them. And them share a lot in common. And one of the critical things that keep them similar in terms of common is the warlike mentality and the propensity for war. And if you check the history of Europe, it's all about war. War that lasts all 100 years. And I can't even fathom that, you know. That means that the war started, like a war started 1900 and it done the year 2000. A war, you know. 1900 to 2000. 1900, 100 years war. So, the concept of the ism is an oppressive and discriminatory attitude and belief that backs up this ism. So it backs it up whether it's, and it can be a cause, it can be a doctrine or a theory. So Adolf Hitler developed an ism. He called it Nazism. And this ism was about supremacy. Supremacy of what? Supremacy of the Aryan race. Aryan. So him never call himself whites. Never call himself Caucasian. Him said they were Aryans. And they were the supreme ethnic group amongst the Caucasian race. But for understanding, you know, this concept of race is a powerful thing, you know. Just that I forget it and how to use it for our own advantage. The Koreans are now using it. Them decide to unite against Trump. Yeah. Racial unity to fight against the oppressor and to defend them own culture. So rather than annihilate each other, they must unite. Them going to send one team now to the Winter Olympics. And I hope a negotiation start, a man start across the border and thing, and them a run with Trump and theme white nationalism. So black people, time to take heed by being conscious of race, what it is. Because people are in denial about them in a mixed race. And them have, now some Scottish in them, and some of them have German in them, and calling all of these strains of alien bloodlines. Not understanding that race is defined by and determined by one, your physical traits. It is also defined by your ancestry, heritage, and your genetics. So don't look a baby thing that just started last year, or started 10 years ago, or started 50 years ago, or even started 10,000 years ago. The genetics we're talking about hundreds of thousands of years of black existence. And these are the forces that come together now to help to define race. So, the Oriental man has no issue with race. The Asian man, he has no issue with race. Neither do the Europeans. It's the black Africans, it's African people who are getting caught up now in colorisms and browns and brownings and off-white and all these shades, and trying to define a shade now as something specific and different from black. So there are shades of black, but you can't escape the black. And you see, the desire to escape the black now is part of the punishment when you live in the lifestyle of the European conquistador. Because you have, hate in your own essence. So if you look at this thing called race, and we understand why Trump expresses himself in those ways, because Trump speaks from the belly of himself, him speaking from the belly of him race. And he lacks the polished words of a academia or a Republican or a Democrat. He lacks the polish, so nothing is polished. But what he expresses is expressed in the guts of whole heap of white America. The same belly that held the black people in enslavement, that were able to create Jim Crow laws and begin to move those hatred now into institutions, built-in hatred within certain institutions as part of the isms of race. So even when they took the chains off the black people in North America, they were still slaves because of the isms. The isms now behind racism, white racism, wherein there is no property. And if you violate certain impossible laws, you become a felon. And the cycle goes on and you become free labor now in the penal system. So even though the chains are taken off the blacks in America and the free labor apparently is ended, the free labor goes on same way because they construct the penal system. And there's no other system in the world that have more prisoners that are black than that in the United States. So it's a race issue. Race issue. And we have institutions now like the church and Christianity who try to downplay race, tell us a race so important because God loves us all. Yet the Son of God looks like the European, him don't look like the race of people who I and I is in the dominance. So a constant reflection. Ism and race and racism. And it is a force now that operates within the system. It's a systemic force that works towards maintaining oppression systematically. So you're going to find in the education system, you're going to find in the state politics, you're going to find it in sports, you're going to find it in the media. All institutions of this inbuilt hatred of the race of black people because of the ism of racism. And within that now, like Adolf Hitler now, promoting the concept of superiority. So black people never necessarily come up with this superiority concept thing to prove to any other race that they were better than them. And I never had to be proven at any racial level to be better than any other race. When the conflicts amongst Africans took place and there were wars, men and women became prisoners, but they were not removed out of their race. So racial slavery is a thing where you try to decimate the foundation of a people. And then now, we're not going ignorant to the caste system, because the caste system discriminates not along the lines of race, but the same thing, class. And the same thing happens in India, gone in places like Jamaica, where the white population is not the dominant. It's a class system that is run, and the laws are constructed by white men, same way that run these places. So I was going to get up and jump up and begin to call the president a racist. So what does that achieve? Big deal, long time. But it's because him talk it out loud now and remove the veil. Everybody can say no. Because the talk that all of those kind of men talk, especially those with the billionaire club. So don't get offended necessarily and be hurt at him. Wake up. Get the message. African Union have spoken in terms of rejecting the attitude of this president. And so the African Union have now actually united in an issue, which is great. Because we need to focus collectively on who is the enemy. And the enemy, we begin now to recognize the enemy has always been outside, but we have internalized the enemy for so long. The time is now. And so, all of you who live in Africa and Haiti, in the whole that Trump has declared, yeah, it's time we realize that we're back gone beyond the wall. Beyond the wall. It's a stench.
Remember Styles FM on social media. View us on YouTube, Styles FM Radio. Follow us on Instagram at Styles FM. Like us on Twitter at Styles FM 961. Become a fan on Facebook, Styles FM 96.1.
Are you thinking of a place, extraordinary place where you can get a wide variety of Jamaican cuisine, scrumptious local dishes, and at the most affordable price? Zilla's Kitchen has the widest menu to suit your appetite and lifestyle. We're located at Bridge Street, Port Antonio. Place your order for pickup or delivery service. Call us at 453-6030. That's 453-6030. Zilla's Kitchen, the restaurant of choice. We never close. We never close.
Guess what? Styles FM has a new business number for you to call, text, and now WhatsApp. 518-2399. To advertise your business and events, call, text, or WhatsApp us on 518-2399. 518-2399. Don't forget, 518-2399. Clifford Guest House, sponsor of Metamorphosis on Monday nights from 9 p.m. to 12 midnight with Dr. Iman Blak. Located at 15 Queen Street, Port Antonio, that's Titchfield Hill, they offer accommodations for up to 1 month. Call them at 2850
If the weaker people will stand for it, then exploit. And if they will not stand for subjugation nor exploitation, the other recourse is extermination. Garvey said, for over 300 years, the white man has been our oppressor. And he naturally is not going to liberate us to the higher freedom, the truer liberty, the truer democracy. We have to liberate ourselves. Marcus Garvey said that.
We've been down in a poverty, oh so long, yeah. We've been down in captivity, much too long. We've been down in humility, and oh so
Marcus Garvey
long.
said, no race in the world is so just as to give others for the asking a square deal in things, economic, political, and social. No race.
Restore your strength and power. Waste no more time. Remember your history. We've been down in a sufferation much too long.
Marcus Garvey said, every student of political science, every student of economics knows that the race can only be saved through a solid industrial foundation. That the race can only be saved through political independence. Take away industry from a race. Take away political freedom from a race. And you have a group of slaves. Marcus Garvey said that.
For the sake of the younger generation, putting hearts and minds to brotherhood and unity. We've been down in the valley much too long. We've been down in a poverty, oh so long, yeah.
Marcus Garvey tells us that the whole world is run on bluff. Yeah, the whole world is run on bluff. No race, no nation, no man has divine right to take advantage of others. Why allow the other fellow to bluff you? King Jong-un, nah take no bluff.
In a condemnation much too long. And we've been down in a segregation, oh so long, yeah, yeah. We've been down in the valley much too long. We've been down in a poverty, oh so long, yeah. We've been down in captivity much too long. We've been down in humility, oh so long. So rise and shine.
The people of Africa, the people of Haiti have been lumped in one barrel. And there's nothing wrong with being lumped together. What is great is when the lump gets conscious and becomes a critical mass of thinkers. So we have to become very, very cognizant now of what this thing called races is. What is race? Because on an island like Jamaica, for example, now, we have to engage with a different type of racism. And although the population is majority black people, majority, the economy is controlled by minority groups. The economy. And we're speaking now specifically now about the Chinese and the Indians. And we have evidence in the media now where there's a Chinese woman who decided to take up a machete and beat a black girl, beat her soft because of some sort of misunderstanding, and thought it was okay and felt well protected. And we know of incidents in Kingston in the 60s when there were actually riots against the Chinese because they have an attitude as well, a discriminatory attitude. So they too are practicing a type of ism against the black people on the island. And they get support from the power structure. So automatically now it's difficult to speak about racism without speaking about power. Because there must be something in the system that gives the practicing racists a sense of power. So if you go to North America now again, for example, and you go into the bush or up into the mountains where the white man they walk one barefooted and them heel back tough. That white man in that distressed economic social condition, within him own being feels him still superior to the most highest trained, African trained, intellectual, financial status black man in America or Africa, anywhere in the whole world. So where does he get this sense of superiority from? And him poor ass there can't even deal with him can't read, him can't write, him dunce, have no money, but him have a sense of feeling. Yeah, so I check out where this feeling of superiority come from, that the poorest white man feels him superior to the black man who have the most money. That him feels him can call him boy. Yeah, him still feels him can say, come here boy. Whether you're a professor or whether you're a banker, it's a mentality. So the ism now carries with it a certain amount of ideology. And these are things that are planted now into the brain and it runs through various institutions. So we'll come forward again to Jamaica and look how the ism operate here now. We see that the Chinese have an advantage and they're protected by the even smaller group of white people who were the dominant planter class. And so even though we don't speak of racism in Jamaica, it is manifested in various corners. You can even check out the tourist industry. And you begin to see that, you know, you are internalized, bringing the thing to Jamaica. So you bring the environment and the systems in Jamaica. So when black people go in there, they feel racism. So it's a look. Because there was a time, you know, black people couldn't even look at white people. Black man would be arrested and lynched for looking at a white woman or allegedly looking. Your life would be lost. That is the extent of the power within the system that defends the ideology of being white. So people are getting upset in America today because of the illusion of equality. At the same time, what is so paradoxical or strange, at the same time the president is uttering those derogatory remarks. He's signing into a bill, Martin Luther King, national holiday or something, some national business for Martin Luther King. And reading from a script about God and love and all of these things. So it's time we wake up as a people. We hear black politicians in America are fearful of saying Trump is a racist. Them say he's not being racially tolerant. because the word is very explosive. But I and I must recognize and ask ourselves the question, how can black people be racist if we have no power? How can you demonstrate racism when I and I have no power? So we don't want to be caught into this corner now by people talking about reverse racism. That don't exist. Racism is a systematic institutional force that is driven by power. And who have the power in America? Power is controlled and defined by those who control the economics and those who control the military. Those are the forces of power. And that's not anywhere near the realm of black people. We look in Jamaica now to find the power. We find that the power is amongst small groups and the military, the wealthy, the oligarchs that finance the political parties. Because unlike America, where the politicians there already have money, the politicians in Jamaica are poor. You see, where our prime minister still in the process of building his house. The prime minister still in the process of building a house. So these people don't come into the system within a whole of money, but the general trend is that when they leave, everything okay, economically. So we're talking about the powers that make racism function. It's the people who control the economics, people who control the military, people who control the media. These are the forces. And we're just making it square and upfront to realize that if black people must organize and centralize, one of the central planks of organization must be around the concept of race. And we're talking about the African race now. We're not talking about no human race. I is African long before the term human even come into existence. I was an African man. I was no African human. I was African man. So the human is a European concept. The human being is a European concept. The Europeans will tell you that the human being is an evolved product from the primates. That has nothing to do with African race. But African people don't have nothing mixed up with no monkey. We don't have no cave history. So we see ourselves separate now as race. With a separate ancestry. Mix up Guan because of the invasion of the Europeans. But it will not deter because the blackness is the foundation. And this is what the Europeans in America, white men, are afraid of now. They say that diversity equals genocide. Because if they continue to mix with us as Africans, after a while you're not going to see no more white people. It's based upon the power of the genetics. The genetic power of the black man. And this is, according to Francis Welsing, Dr. Francis Welsing, what drives racism. It is white man's way of responding to his own extermination. And in that response, now make I feel as though I is also racist. We must become racially conscious. In the same way, the Koreans have united now at a racial level to save themselves. They didn't call upon no God, and they didn't call upon no Jesus. They call upon them own self. The women in America have united in black, and they begin to call upon them own self at the gender level. So, who else? Who else? It is left to the black people now to shed off some of them religious identities there and hugging up who is more Christian and who is more Protestant and begin to just shake off those things and hold on now to our black selves. But that is the key. Our black selves, without religion, without political ideology, our black selves. Metamorphosis. element behind certain behavior. Them say, well, you're pulling the race card and, you mustn't say that. It's a very, very serious thing, this whole notion of race. And if you check it now from the religious teaching, and if you are a believer that there is a creator that made man, well, you may also realize that before man, there had to be other life forms, like plants and animals and insects. It's a classification, it's a way to classify certain living beings. That's why we have species. And we have different ways of grouping up certain type of plants, certain type of fish, certain type of forms of life. And so the form of life that you fall in helps to determine, the label that you get. So there is fish. And there's a certain behavior. Them say fish move in schools. And there are birds, and birds move in flocks. And these various life forms, we are able to identify them by their, the makeup, biological makeup, that we can know which category and which group they belong to. So I'm saying that to say that now when we reach the kingdom of people, because we're going to say people, we're not going to say man, we're going to say people. We are left to ponder as to the nature of the first people, for people who believe in the first, and for people who accept into their own belief system that there was a first man and that there was a first woman. Once you hold that as a mythology and you are a possibility or a reality to you, then you have to ask, and you may not really want to ask that question because you don't really want to go there because you're afraid. But the natural way of asking questions within that framework is to ask, what was the race of that first man? And how will we define race? First of all, we'll talk about physical traits. Physical traits become one of the defining characteristics of a race. And your physical traits are partly due to genetics and environment. So, observation is one of the first ways of determining what group a plant belongs to, or an animal, or a person. So the physical traits are critical. The genetics drive those physical traits. It also has the potentials within. So when we start look at these characteristics now and then try to apply them to a first man, or a first male, or a first person, it has to be somewhere on the planet Earth. And if you follow Christian scripture and Bible Genesis, they talk about a garden. And a garden suggests that plants and things grow in there, which means there's vegetation. There must be a certain amount of sunshine and water and basic infrastructure now for growth. So we can see, if we want to, if we choose to, with our own eye, that there have to be physical features to this so-called first being. And if you look at how nature evolved from the plant kingdom to the kingdom of people, the plant kingdom has two specific groups of plants. The plants that have pigments and the plant that doesn't. And they each have their particular way of operating. We call them two different species, or we can call them two different kingdoms. Because within the kingdom of the green plants, we have certain different type of species. So we see that within that framework now, we start looking at people. It kind of gives you the impression that the original people, like the original plants, to survive under the sun conditions, would have to have pigment. Because the sun now is the driving force, And And if the first man cannot survive under the sun, then that first man don't have anywhere to live because life doesn't catch into the cold. So when we do our own thought process and analysis, we find that the pigmented man, the pigmented male, the pigmented people have all right to claim to be the original people on the planet. The original race of people made to suit the environment, built to survive in the sun, built to survive in almost any climatic conditions. And the female, we know, has a potential to produce all different shades of this pigmentation, all different shades of black. So when we start talking about race, and we talk about original race, we have to begin to look at the black people. And the geographers and the anthropologists point to the African continent, which is the home of mankind and people. And so it's the black man we're talking about. So the black race has always have this history of being the most ancient race on the planet. And we have to recall and re-internalize that process, that we are the original race. No matter how watered down and how mixed, the depth of our race comes because of the genetic potential and the dominance of the genes that produces the melanin and makes I and I black. So we have all that race concept. And if you recognize that the racial pigmentation of the skin does undergo evolution based upon climatic conditions. And over the hundreds of thousands of years of the migration of black people, we ended up with people that looking like Indians. And ultimately, the Asian population have its genesis in black people. The Japanese, the Chinaman, the Asian world are all considered people of dark complexion, the dark-skinned people, the pigmented people. That is the original race. And this is a race that is feeling the wrath of the minority group.
Are you thinking of a place, extraordinary place, where you can get a wide variety of Jamaican cuisine, scrumptious local dishes, and at the most affordable price? Zilla's Kitchen has the widest menu to suit your appetite and lifestyle. We're located at Bridge Street, Port Antonio. Place your order for pickup or delivery service. Call us at 453-6030. That's 453-6030. Zilla's Kitchen, the restaurant of choice. We never close. We never close.
Architects, draftsmen, and surveyors, get your drawings printed in high-quality professional standards. We can satisfy your printing needs. Whether it is for presentation to your clients or for submitting building and subdivision application, make it VJ Printing Services. Whether drawing by hand or with computer-aided softwares, we will plot your negatives and print the copies as you need. We do high-quality white paper printing that is water-resistant and never fades, unlike traditional blueprint. For more information, call VJ Printing at 893-2266.
D-Plug Bar and Restaurant, Main Street, Long Bay, Portland. Proud sponsor of Euphoria. Tuesdays 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. with the music.
this type of insult to jolt enough black people who have been comfortable in their Negroness. Because Negro is another way to hide from being African and black, you know. Yeah, you're hiding by being a Negro. When you're a Negro now, you're a part of this integration movement of trying to love white people, love them to death. And there's no practical results. So the alternative and the reality now is separatism. And there's nothing wrong with separatism. It's not isolationism. We're talking about separating ourselves now psychologically and get our economic almost separated to a level where there's a certain level of independence towards black people's finances. So it's a time for a revolution, you know, a revolution taking place in the earth based upon the responses to the verbiage coming out of Washington. It has the whole world on the edge. It is so serious, you know. I'm going to show you them oil critical. For weeks upon weeks, the war machine has been pumping up its arm in Southeast Asia, running test runs and missiles firing and practice runs and war games. Whole for money for billions upon billions just to keep that fleet there, you know. Billions upon billions of dollars just to keep the fleet surrounding that region and testing and firing. And when it all is said and done, the forces that were in a minority that seem to be being overrun just draw the race card. Yeah, Kim Jong-un just draw the race card and enter through the world of sports, culture, to show that there's a cultural unity amongst the Koreans, even though them have them differences, that they're willing to unite culturally. And in their cultural unity now, them will denounce Trump and his agenda. So on what basis now does the United States have to attack North Korea when South Korea is no longer feel threatened? The North Koreans tell the South Koreans that, look, our missiles are not even aimed at you. Neither are they aimed at Japan, they're aimed at the United States. So the atmosphere has changed differently. And it's all about power. It's about power. And if you don't have power, you have no respect. You're not respected unless you demonstrate power. And so if I take the lessons and observe and recognize that how is it can black people now develop power? How can I develop power to get respect from forces that are oppressive? Now, land is vital. Claiming a homeland is essential, because that is the basis of establishing your power. So black people will have to begin to claim Africa psychologically, spiritually, with our finances, begin to look to Africa for holidays, begin to channel our resources along the south direction, begin to move mentally out of the North American plantation framework. So the power now that I really want to speak to, that we seem fixated on, is a power that is called spiritual. So I find that a lot of the people in the Western world, black people, and Africa in general, black people in general, seem to be clamoring now more for spiritual power. And I want to know how does spiritual power work in the world of economics and politics and the military, when we see that power is defined by who have the money and the guns. So is it that we have been extending our strength in the wrong area? What is the spiritual power thing? I don't say for the last 2018 years, what has spiritual power done to alleviate the pressure on black people? What has spiritual power done to change the economic structure? What has spiritual power done to alleviate the poor living conditions and the violence? But if you apply proper economic powers and political will, all of those things can be addressed. So I think so we are diffused with energy. And we need to refocus ourselves and our race. And again, the institution of the church used the Bible to introduce the concept of race to black people, but from a perspective of being inferior. Because look here now, they don't want to discuss Adam and Eve as racial beings. But then you follow the story right through and through, and it goes on and on and on until Lord God get vexed and decide to wipe out all the people who was on the earth. Now we don't know what kind of people was on the earth. We don't know if Chinaman was involved in the wipeout. We don't know where Indians were involved. We don't know nothing about the race of the people. We just hear it's people. And the people them get wiped out by a flood. This concept has been etched into the mind of black people that a flood took place and washed away all the people except for 8. So on the basis of racial identity now, all racial identity now have to begin at these 8 people. If you are into the story. So once you accept the flood story and accept that all the people them drown out and only 8 people leave, well, you have to define that these 8 people now that are going to produce all of the races that we see today. 4 man and 4 woman. Check it out. 4 man and 4 woman who are raceless, because them don't tell you nothing about them race, but these are responsible now for producing billions of Chinaman, 1 billion Chinaman today. These 4 people, one pair of them responsible for producing all the black people on the planet. This is ridiculous. It's a fable, it's a mythology that traps us into a false concept of race. And then when everything is said and done, and the waters recede, and the people them come out of the ark now, one son gets cursed. And it's this cursed son now, them tell us now, is the foundation of the black race. No, you tell me that if this is not orchestrated racism. 8 people leave. And out of the 8 people, one of the son them, one of the 4 boys them get cursed. And it's this cursed son now, them tell us now, is a genesis of all the black people on earth today. That is fantasy. Because they don't even give you a date of the flood. And then they tell you that the ark landed in Turkey on a mountain. And so Ham and his wife walked from Turkey to Africa and started breed up. And that we have to accept if we want to see ourselves as a race of people coming from Africa. So the biblical history conflict and confuse African history, and we lose the concept of race. And so black people think that we are now cursed because of the sins of a man who came out of a boat who themselves was black. So the father of a black son, so the next son was a white man and the next son was an Indian, but there's no space for the Chinese. We have to re-examine these fallacies. Metamorphosis.
It's Wow Factor Tuesdays with Chungy and Shelly. Every Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's entertainment and interaction at its best. With features like the Share to Care segment, the Uprising 10 Countdown, and the ever-controversial Love Break. Yes, it's the Wow Factor. Your Tuesday mornings will never be the same again.
Clifford Guest House, sponsor of Metamorphosis on Monday nights from 9 p.m. to 12 midnight with Dr. Iman Blak. Located at 15 Queen Street, Port Antonio, that's Ditchfield Hill, they offer accommodations for up to 1 month. Call them at 285-06
in Jamaica, when you used to call the people of mixed race mulattoes, particularly the races mixed between the Africans and the Europeans. Much of that mixture was through force, rape, and violation. And so a lot of those offsprings weren't through any consensual relationship. But when the pigment began to get mixed up with the European blood, that began to water down the look. We started get this red skin image, red skin, brown skin people. And these people were told that because of that, they were actually of a different race. That they were not Africans because they had a mixture of European in them. And they started calling themselves a mulatto race. It's just one step of hiding away from being African. Because the genes have the dominance of blackness. The black gene is the dominant gene. So there's a way to sort of mask where people begin to think that there's a way to escape being an African. And the way to do it is, first of all, begin to doctor your appearance. Because remember, one of the critical aspects of racial identity is your appearance. And when you look, what you see first is skin. The first thing you see is the skin, the outer covering. Whether you're looking at a plant or an animal or a person, first thing you see is the outer covering. And the elements of the features now, like the eyes and the nose and certain features now begin to get a certain amount of commonality in looks because of environment. And we people have to breed and eat type of diet that they eat and so on. So there's a collective set of elements that we put together to call us members of a certain race. The European, of course, in his conquest mind, recognized that one of the ways to defeat a people is to water down them race. Water them down. And in that water down race, so the offspring begin to, in the most of the time, begin to draw alliance to the dominant race, dominant class, the controlling racial group. And the mothers begin to encourage them children to aspire to join the racially controlling dominant group. So we're encouraged to move away from being black and to begin to disown being African. And in Jamaica now, everybody, majority hanging on to this Jamaican because they're afraid to embrace African, telling you they're never born there. So there's a lack of consciousness, realizing that your ancestry have nothing to do with where you're born. Your ancestry goes way beyond when you were born. Likewise, your genetics and your heritage. So when you ignore those things to hold on to the national identity, it should say you just don't want to be who you are. You're afraid. You're ashamed. A lot of people are ashamed to associate themselves with being African because of how the media portray Africa. They rather be associated with being American or British or European. So when the Trump uttered the statements now that the people from Africa and Haiti come from SOs where you keep a lot of fecal matter, is that a slap? Is that a slap? Or is it just reinforcing what a lot of people here think about themselves? Well, if we check it now, because in Jamaica now we don't have much regard for the Haitians. A lot of the Jamaican people here have a sort of animosity towards people who are Haitian because the media telling them for years that Haiti is a land of disease and voodoo, and that Jamaica is a Christian country. And Christianity opposes the voodoo. So they set us against each other along the line of religion. So we're ignoring our racial unity, which is being black and being African. And we're dividing on the concept of who is voodoo and who is Christian. So we have to see these things clearly before we can reverse that curse. The people in Africa, the Jamaicans here, majority again are in denial of being African. Yet the Chinaman who has never been to China will tell you that he's Chinese. Because he has no inhibition with claiming his race first. So he is a Chinese Jamaican. Doesn't speak the language. He's an Indian Jamaican. Doesn't speak Indian. Has never been to India. But his race shall make up and features define him as an Indian. And he makes no apology about it. The Africans are always apologizing. Black people are always apologizing for their blackness. And when people are black and talented, they say, she beautiful in about she black, or she black in about she beautiful. So it's a whole heap of negative conditioning and I've been exposed to. That we are running away from being a member of the African race, and we're now hugging up this new concept called human race. And when the war is on, and the struggle is on for territory and for resources, they go to Africa. And when you look into Libya, you see that the slave trade of African people are still being continued by those who call themselves Arabs. So what is it about the race of Africans that we need to correct? If we look into the religious deities that we hold on to, do we hold on to deities that are African? Or are we so ashamed that we now hold on to European deities? Because as Caesar would say, if you pray to a white God, you can't expect a white God to free you from white man oppression. Yeah, we have to begin to think about the African gods and goddesses, the ones that we have turned our backs on, to embrace the gods of Christianity, the God of Christianity, and his apostles and disciples and son and all of that kind of stuff. So the issue is race first. The Chinaman embrace it without apology. The only people on the planet right now who's in a state of dissonance when it comes to race is the black race. Not knowing that black is not any sign of dishonor, but it is really a sign of power, a sign of connection with nature. It's a reflection, it holds all the history and the memories of a particular race of people. So we could get racial again. We could recognize who the racists are. And we could organize the economics now around the black race and our racial ideas. Yeah, we could see what the ism is about, because this is the time, you know. This is the time. This is the time to organize and centralize. But the centerpiece will be our blackness. And the fact that we are all members of the black race. The man in the Pacific Islands, the man who lives in Melanesia and Polynesia, all of these are people of the black race. And there cannot be any shame based upon ideology promoted by white people. Anytime I start seeing the devil as a little white man with a fork, we begin to go to funerals dressed in full white. Yeah, then we start make the corner, turn the corner. Metamorphosis.
Guess what? Styles FM has a new business number for you to call, text, and now WhatsApp. 518-2399. To advertise your business and events, call, text, or WhatsApp us on 518-2399. 518-2399. Don't forget, 518-2399.
Are you thinking of a place, extraordinary place where you can get a wide variety of Jamaican cuisine, scrumptious local dishes, and at the most affordable price? Zilla's Kitchen has the widest menu to suit your appetite and lifestyle. We're located at Bridge Street, Port Antonio. Place your order for pickup or delivery service. Call us at 453-6030. That's 453-6030. Zilla's Kitchen, the restaurant of choice. We never close. We never close.
Planning a party, club night out, stage show, a gospel concert, or even a business sales event? Let Styles FM be a part of your promoting tool. Take advantage of our low-priced promotion packages with commercials, interviews, giveaways, reviews, and much more. We have special offers when you mix and match and bundle your options. Contact us at 876-286-9216 or 439-5160. Styles FM for the most effective way to exploit your marketing dollar.
Clifford Guest House, sponsor of Metamorphosis on Monday nights from 9 p.m. to 12 midnight with Dr. Iman Blak. Located at 15 Queen Street, Port Antonio, that's Titchfield Hill, they offer accommodations for up to 1 month. Call them at 285-0610 for more information.
Metamorphosis continuing, moving into the section called Our Story, Kimit, or Kibulan, which is a term I want to revisit. But I really want to use this section to look at a specific place that has been brought to our attention by Washington. this is one of the places where the American government, unless the present leadership has declared that they don't want no people from this place to come into feed them country, America. And we hear Jamaicans here saying that they don't want no Haitians come here either. And it's a really, really slap in the face of our own selves. We're slapping our own self in the face when we turn against the people of Haiti. Because it's like turning against the essence of the black race in this Western plantation society. Because the Haitians, you know, are really responsible for creating by themselves the second independent country in the Americas. Let me say, the second independent country in the Americas after the United States, which became independent by 1776, 1783. So Jamaica as an island can't even run jostle and compare itself to Haiti. And the Haitians were able to experience and initiate a revolution that was founded upon a long struggle on the part of the Africans in that French colony called Saint Dominique. So the Haitians them now are no ordinary black people. Yep, I'm telling you that. There are no ordinary little black people in the Caribbean. So the revolution, which was started like in 1790s, it made Haiti a black independent colony. And it brought literally to an end the European slave trade. So it's no little dibby place, you know. The French who had controlled Haiti for a while referred to Haiti as a pearl of the Antilles, because the wealth that was scraped out of Haiti made France into what it is. So the Haitian Revolution took place between 1791 and 1804. And it's the only revolution in which African slaves fought their way to freedom by force, which makes it the first and the only successful revolution led by Africans. So Haiti have a serious history of defeating all of Europe. Spain, France, England, all of them come and get defeated. Death, you know, I'm not talking about no policy by death and war, because these Africans were who we are. Maybe offshoots of man like Hannibal, and understood the war and weren't afraid to apply the concept of race first. Haiti became a symbol of liberation that any black man on any other plantation island who wanted to escape, once them touched Haiti, they became free. This is the island now that this present American administration is throwing garbage at, and which many people in the Caribbean use the same ideology to destroy our own selves. So the respect that Haiti have, or should have, is not there, because the European powers have come together to swear that Haiti would never rise again, that they would have Haiti paying France reparations. You imagine that? No. Europeans come in and capture the colony, and those who are captive must end up paying money to those who capture them. It's the same way them have when the British were leaving Jamaica. The white owners of slaves got compensation. And up to today, the remnants of the population still are landless. So in a place like Jamaica, after 400 years, we are still squatters. After our generation slave on this land, their descendants here are still squatters. So we don't have much regard for ourselves as a people. We don't see the power that a unity in racial consciousness can bring. So if we remember now that Haiti will always be at the beating stick of the Europeans, because the Europeans, Napoleon and all of them swear that they should never make Haiti rise again, because Haiti was an embarrassment to the white slave trade. We have to understand these things and realize that it's race I'm fighting against. It's race. When you hear Washington and the administration lick out against countries that are in people of Africa and people of Haiti, and by Haiti you mean Jamaica and all other Caribbean places where African people are. It's a racial struggle. So it's like a declaration that the race war is on. That war only went underground because it was covert. And a race war would manifest itself through the police force in America, through the brutality, through the legal system, through the various ways to oppress and discriminate and oppress black people. This present administration now taking off the gloves. No more racial diplomacy. Telling you as it is. You come from a hole that stinks. I don't want it in our country. And when the American government says our country, it means the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant Americans. It has nothing to do with people who are of the African race, the black race. But the people of the black race keep calling themselves Americans. And so this nationality is disturbing their consciousness, preventing them from seeing them race first. But give the DJ Trump more time. And when him done, and as I say, him just gone 1 year. And the world has undergone tectonic changes in this 1 year, politically, economically. And now we see the effect by Mother Nature. The wicked ice conditions, fires and floods. Yes, so the Christian people thinking that the world is coming to an end because our books say wars and rumors of wars, all of these things going on from the last 2,000 years. What will end our governments? What will rise will be new governments. What we're seeing is one that's on decline, and somebody's leading the decline. I want to embrace hatred, but we need to be aware that hatred is the driving force. And as African people, we are hated. And the hatred comes not because of what we have done, but for just how we make up, how we are built. We are built to survive. We are built to endure the sun. We are built to endure the conditions. And we are built to create. Because on the planet Earth, evidence of our creativity is there. The libraries of Africa, the calendars, the history, it's all in the museums of Europe. So the Europeans have collectively hidden the relics and the history of the African race because they realize if the people wake up to them racial powers, the game is over. Well, it's in the end game. And the Africans are awakening. Metamorphosis.
Should never know.
There's a book by C.L.R. James called The Black Jacobins. The Black Jacobins. I would encourage people to find a way to read that book to get a full some understanding of the revolution that overthrew the white men out of St. Dominic, sent all whites packing. The whole of white man get dead in the campaign there, you know, because unless it be them brutality with them brutality, them don't respect and back off, you know. You have to match them with brutality. It's unfortunate to say that, but that is their methodology. You have to match them with force. And so even in the today's world, King Jong-un is forced them using to force these people to come on up and negotiations. Force. And so look at the only language that the white man know. So if you come to him in peace without a sense of power, there is no progression. He's going to beat you up. And that is just the very nature. Well, the Haitians, them now who came out of, from my understanding, enough of them came out of Central Africa. Because remember now, it's Africans who coming into this region, you know. And they have a different mentality. Their spirituality now had nothing to do with Christians. Their spirituality was African. And is that now the Europeans use to frighten now the black ones who became Christians. Where Haitians now became voodoo workers and witchcraft and all sort of connection to evil. When the Christianity is not so far from evil, because them dwelling into the blood and vampirism. So we have to revisit voodoo and the voodoo and the power of that. The same powers that Nani could have used and defeat the British. Those are the spiritual powers that I need to reclaim. Not the spiritual powers that have us bowing down in subservience to some other being that looks like the slave master. So Haiti is a liberating point, and the revolution in Haiti vibrates right across the waters, right into Portland, right into St. Thomas. The same revolutionary energies help to motivate the Marant Bay Revolution. It's the same African people struggling against the same British and the French and the Spanish and all of those Caucasian people who see themselves as members of one race. They see themselves as different ethnic groups. That's why them war as Poles and Germans and Franks and Italians, them war amongst themselves. But once they begin to come out to conquer the rest of the world, them unite under the banner of being white. So I must not be deceived and fall prey to the idea that we are not Africans as a race, but we are now into this human race concept. We're not in a human race business. The race that we know is the African people. And that is the original race of melanin people. So Haiti has been picked out as a site for defecation. You know, we hear that now we are a link up Haiti now with guns. And we're bringing Haiti into the trade that is them to Haiti. Guns coming, but Haiti don't make guns either. Haiti don't make guns, so Haiti could only be a transshipment point. The guns coming from the United States. So whether them come to Haiti or come straight to Jamaica, you can distract the fullness of the knowledge to know that it's not Haiti sending guns here. The guns are coming from the United States of America. But we like to blame Haiti. And we like to blame Cuba. That's how Jamaica media program Jamaica. When hurricanes missed Jamaica, they used to go to Cuba. We used to pray in the years gone by that the hurricane would hit Cuba. Because Cuba was communist. And communist is evil. And Jamaica is a Christian country. So a Christian country wishing for destruction in another country. And yet we are Christians. Where that same destruction wish for others has come home. And we see the carnage in the country, on the roads and in the communities. Yet we're talking about a Christian country, and Haiti is an evil country. Haiti doesn't have our crime problem. Haiti's problem has been orchestrated by outside forces. So we have a free Haiti. And don't let the language disturb us, because within the whole tradition of Haiti, Haiti is the first, is the second football team in the Caribbean to go to World Cup, you know. Jamaica never have known nothing but organized football when Haiti go World Cup, you know. We just had dibby run football with schoolboy soccer. Haiti was so organized, they could have go to the World Cup, 1974. The Cubans went before. So Cuba is a far more advanced, organized society when it comes to resistance and knowledge of themselves. We just a come. We push out plenty giant, but collectively, we not reach nowhere yet. Collectively, it's the individuals that have keep Jamaica afloat and made Jamaica known. But collectively, from the level of leadership, we are a total disaster. And it's that we need to change by bringing the majority to the consciousness that we are the majority. And the majority is of a particular race. 96% of we here is African people. And we want the country being identified as a black country and cut out this foolishness about Christian country. We're a black country. So we must highlight our blackness and build around our blackness. Metamorphosis.
Afrika dafa baxna ki dafa nya ki dafa rafet wan ma ci ki bunjul ki dafa bunjul wan nya de kesa way ki dafa bunjul wan ma ci ki bunjul ki dafa bunjul dafnen rafet yo men tamenda ingama get dafnen rafet yo men tamenda ingara dafnen rafet yo men tamenda ingara did you know that's a richer Africa did you know that's a richer Africa did you know said the whole world love it did you know said the whole world love it be proud of your culture be proud of that what you got be proud you got to hold on to it be proud of your culture walking down the road in a Germany reggae music playing and this is what one man was saying persistent was ich höre ich kann nicht anders muss einfach tanzen ich gebe der Reggae manchmal macht man ein bisschen lauter niemals in meinem Leben habe ich so etwas gehört meine Damen und Herren und alle Brüder und Schwestern ich muss euch jetzt verlassen weil ich fliege nach Jamaika tschüss bis bald ich komme irgendwann wieder es macht mich was es gibt mir Kraft und Energie wie ein Tiger es macht mich was es gibt mir Kraft und Energie wie ein Tiger did you know dance a rich in Germany did you know dance a rich in Germany did you know said the whole world love it did you know said the whole world love it be proud of your culture be proud of that what you got be proud you got to hold on to it be proud of your culture I know and I guess you know too that even in Spain them shouting for more a señorita vicino bailo cuando tú tocas danza music el sonido del tambor y del bajo me gusta mucho be proud of your culture be proud of that what you got be proud you got to hold on to it be proud of your culture France is a country reggae music is ruling anywhere you go you hear the people them all singing j'aime la Jamaïque ce bel pays un peu sa musique fantastique j'espère que le reggae va rester
no, there's a notion that is twinned with race. They usually walk hand in hand, and that is culture. I was all hear about race and culture. However, begin to be able to split the hairs to understand the difference. Because you don't born with no necessarily specific culture. There's a social, psychological set of activities. Your culture. Your race is based upon your genetics. So therefore, it's a deeper side of your existence and your identity. Your race. Culture can be adapted. Culture can be learned. Culture can be transformed. Culture can evolve to meet certain conditions. But the race is a foundation that is fixed to give you a sense of rootedness in this cosmos of motion and activity continuously. So, I mean, as a youth, particularly in a place like Jamaica, we don't even hear the word race more unless we go to the track. Or involved in athletics, we hear about race. But at the same time, at the biological level, you know, when the sperm them go off, it's a race them go into. It's a sprint and a marathon. Because a very long distance, why many don't make it. At the same time, it's the fastest that will make it. So there is a race. Quickening of who shall get to the prize first. But then there is a construct now in physiology that gives us identity and similarities. And that is the basis now of race. So there is a race based upon the geographical foundation and historical setup of the people. It could be called Africans, it could be called Kemetic people, but it all speaks to the biological makeup of the person as a foundation. So the whole idea now of belonging to a human race is a very recent idea. This idea took birth sometime in the 1800s through Darwinian research and thought process. That Darwin came to the conclusion that the first set of living beings that could be classified as people were primates. And these primates, through time and whatever, evolved into Australopithecus and Homo erectus and Homo sapien, that eventually you could classify as a human being. No, that all that is good enough. All that is good and wonderful, but it doesn't it has nothing to do with I and I as an African on the African continent and reproducing my race through procreation without any connection to any cave history or any ice formation. So the distinction now between race and culture becomes more obvious now when we talk about environment. Because the pigmented people have been grounded in an agricultural sunshine environment, which influences now them behavior, which is them culture, and informs them practices. So the European man who's in ice have a different attitude. Him always vex with the conditions that surround him because it's always brutal, it's always harsh. And so he has a different attitude. He have a different race, he have a different culture. And we have to just respect each for what each have. But we're not getting that in this world because the man of the Ice Age culture is insisting that him is the dominant force. And him rule. And everybody else must be subservient. And I must begin to reject that notion. But rejecting it doesn't mean you fight against him. It means you organize yourself. So we don't only have to fight, use our energies to fight against, for example, in America, to fight against Trump. Got to use the energies to organize and unite black families and develop black consciousness and black power. And that power is not spiritual. That power will be driven by economics. So you see the economic unity can come through sports and entertainment where the money is. We have to pay attention to race. It is a feature that will dominate the next decade. The Muslims, the Iranians are focusing on them religious unity, religious culture, and these people are Arabs. There's Arab unity on the horizon. There is Jewish unity in Israel on the horizon. There's women unity in America. The Koreans have shown unity. It's still left for the black people to shake off those issues that keep us separated. Issues in religious ideas, issues in language. Realize a commonality now in the home setup. That as much as we have been spread out in the Western plantation, speaking French, Spanish, and Portuguese, forgetting our African tongues, but it's in our DNA memory. It's in our heritage. So those are the things that make us common under the banner of race. So it's race first, without being racist. And there's nothing wrong with a white man telling you that he's racist. It's better him tell you than don't tell you. The problem in Britain is that racism is masked by all kind of language and talk. So the black man in England is usually more confused when we have to engage with white racism. In America, it is getting forward to basics again. No more smile and grin with you. You are being told, we don't like you. You must go back to where you come from. Don't feel hard. Don't take it to heart. Just take it as a sign of the times. It's a time for black people to embrace each other in our blackness. Dropping off the politics of democracy and republicanism and PNP and JLPism. Leg all of those isms and rally round our blackness.
For complete auto repairs and services, come to Akon Auto Technology, located at 33 Bumble Crescent, Port Antonio, Jamaica. We offer specialist services in wheel alignment and wheel balancing, brake drum and disc rotary servicing, state-of-the-art ultrasonic cleaning and testing of your fuel injectors. We also stock an assorted range of auto service parts, tires, and motorcraft batteries. If we don't have it, we will source it for you. Call us at 876-715-5205 or email AkonAutoTech16@gmail.com. Akon Auto Technology, beyond the typical auto mechanic shop.
Are you thinking of a place, extraordinary place where you can get a wide variety of Jamaican cuisine, scrumptious local dishes, and at the most affordable price? Zilla's Kitchen has the widest menu to suit your appetite and lifestyle. We're located at Bridge Street, Port Antonio. Place your order for pickup or delivery service. Call us at 453-6030. That's 453-6030. Zilla's Kitchen, the restaurant of choice. We never close. We never close.
For the best quality in sound reinforcement and backlining, Native Audio. We have professional engineers with over 20 years of experience. So call us and we'll take care of your parties, wedding receptions, barbecues, conferences, and small stage shows. Crystal clear sound, Native Audio. Our prices are the best. Call us at 871-5212. That's 871-5212. Native Audio. We make your events audible, 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 audible.
Clifford Guest House, sponsor of Metamorphosis on Monday nights from 9 p.m. to 12 midnight with Dr. Iman Blak. Located at 15 Queen Street, Port Antonio, that's Titchfield Hill, they offer accommodations for up to 1 month. Call them at 285-0610 for more information.
That we prove it, still another man say.
Metamorphosis. We're into the final half an hour, 25 minutes. I just want to just move a little bit further than what is in front of us and look over into some events that unfold in the European tech press. Well, I know, before we even go over to Europe, realize that there was a false alarm in Hawaii that missiles were coming into Hawaii and people started to run up and down the place, and then half an hour later them say it's a mistake. So the world is on edge, and when they investigate what's happening, them say the man pushed the wrong button on a computer. I sent out the warning to all telephones and all computer systems that there was an incoming missile. Now, the only place that missile will be coming from in the people's mind now is North Korea. So the tension now high and higher and higher. And within this, I don't know if it was orchestrated to set up a pretext for something else. But the scenario could have been that the Americans now would respond to something that was false and kick off something that they want, that the whole world don't want. So I watch them now, because the unity between North and South Korea now has dampened that whole energy being pushed by America for a war against North Korea. So we're going to see how they're going to deal with it. Will they create a little pretext to go in, know that them don't really have no genuine reasons anymore, except that the man still hold onto his arsenal and is willing to reason, but you have to recognize that he has power. Now, again, I'm saying it's race first. The Koreans have always been one race of people, divided by the United States and the Soviet Union in that war at the Korean Peninsula, that the people never really officially declare peace based upon the tensions that still exist. Now them find a way to break it down, and a deflection is a rebuff to the Trumpian type of way of trying to run the world. But I will show them a little more how race is vital. Over in Europe, you have a young woman now who's getting ready to join the royal family. Right, her name is Markle, or Meghan Markle. And she's supposed to get married to one of them sons. So, you know I go. But the point I want to get at now, there's a political leader whose girlfriend come out publicly. And for the first time now the backlash begin, or the backlash, where she said she don't think that this girl should have come into the royal family, because next thing she knows, she bring a black seed. And before you know it, there's a black king. She said she would never date a Negro because Negroes are ugly. This is in 2018, So what is happening now is that vulgar remarks and racial slurs now, these are now becoming normalized, primarily because of the sounds that are coming out of the White House. These are things that white people will say quietly, and they would all agree and just hum. No, they now have the strength to release their feelings, and they must say it now publicly. First time that would have been politically incorrect. But you see, when you get the sample from Trump, and Trump tell you these things about people, what him think and how him feel and him know business, it gives license now. So it look like we're moving into a new normality, where it is normal now to be vulgar. It's normal now to be disrespectful to groups that are less powerful. So you see where we're running. We can see the direction of the world. It just means that I and I must organize and centralize. And what we're going to organize and centralize around is our blackness and our economics. Because the times are crucial. So Meghan Markle might not even make it to the wedding, because the people of Europe feel threatened now racially, because they are concerned about preserving the purity of their race. And that's another concept to discuss one another time, the purity of the race. What does that phrase mean? As much as you may be have mingling of the slave master's blood, what does it mean to strive for the purity of the race? I would see where the white people in Europe insist on that. And in America, the white people saying no, that if you mix it up, it's going to lead to their genocide. Them say diversity of the race is going to lead to the genocide of the white people. So nobody is more race conscious than white people. They are the minority race in the world. They have to be race conscious, because if the rest of the world ever wake up to the majority and the dominance that I and I is, then we're in panic, thinking that we're going to attack them and rush them and deal with them the same way them deal with I and I. So it's them fear. Much of it is fear. Much of it is created by the media to keep people anxious. So the agenda of Washington is unfolding. 1 year later, I will see we're in black consciousness needs to resurrect itself. It was a dominant force in the 70s and it went dormant in the 80s and the 90s. Now we need this force to come forward as a survival mechanism, because white racism is no longer undercover. White racism is in our faces. It's in our streets. It's in the security forces. And we have to pay attention. And we have to respond to that by developing our black consciousness. That even the man in our security forces here in Jamaica, who are in the black majority, will begin to wake up too. And look, a man them run up and down with the guns them and who vow in the life of being criminals. I've realized, say, look man, this thing go beyond you and your criminality. It is a race that is at stake. Not you and your community and your family. It is a race. And we have to begin to think that to that extent, where we do things now on behalf of the race. Metamorphosis.
Oh, you like your thing, train up from the bed and work your way forward. Oh, you like your thing, train up from the front and work your way behind. Oh, you want your thing.
kind of winding down in this metamorphosis here. We just had a WhatsApp from Jojo say the person, so I'm reading Chancellor Williams' Destruction of Black Civilization and realized it's a serious book to read. Recommend that other persons try to get a hold of that book. The Destruction of Black Civilization, Chancellor Williams. Developed in violence. This island here, it has a serious history of violence. And the violence is not something that has been brought onto the society by the politicians only. The violence was here before the politics was even arranged. The violence was here on the plantation, because the plantation is driven by violence and hatred. So once you have that domination, wherein one small group or one race has itself in a position that is superior to another, then there's always conflict and war. And so this Jamaican society now that is experiencing war, as its birth in piracy, its leadership and its governance is grounded in piracy. From the days of Henry Morgan to Governor Erie, to the establishment of the parliamentary system, is piracy. Bandoogling. And that has become the culture now of the governance of the island. Bandoogling. Wherein if it's all about what can scrape off and what can shave off and how to enrich the individual person who becomes the member of parliament or becomes a representative of the people. So progression in Jamaica is always 2 steps forward and 5 steps backwards. And then 1 sideways before we go forward again. And it's just one state. Iman don't conclude that Jamaica is a one state, one party state. It's one party we have in Jamaica, you know. Don't make them fool you, make you think it's 2 parties, you know. It's one party. It began from one family. And that one family split into 2 groups. So it's one state. One state we have. And it became more evident when we get into the 1990s. Because before 1980, there was an idea that Jamaica was being governed by 2 parties. One was called JLP, one was called PNP. And what was the difference? One was capitalist in its orientation, and the other was socialist. So 2 of them was practicing 2 different isms. Capitalism and socialism. That was the practice of the 2 tribes, 2 parties. But by the time the 70s finished and the socialism revolution get back up and turned over and the Russian Empire pulled apart, there was no more challenge to capitalism. So capitalism became the only ism. So the both parties now begin to practice capitalism. So it's just one concept. It's just one state. So when we say one group in and one group out of power, the group out of power simply points out to the group in power what them know them can't do. Because they know what are the limitations and they know what the resources are. So they must come out and point out to you what the next side should do because they know them can't do it. And when the people put them in, the next side who come out point out to the people what is it that the side who gone in can't do. So we are one state. And the state is now in a reversal. Because the people have to begin to fix their own roads now. I see a little clipping where the people have go buy cement now and people these are people who live in the island as citizens and paying taxes. But because of the piratical nature of the governance, the money is never for the people. The money is to make sure that those who are elected are fat and well fed first. And then there's a thing called trickle down, where what is left trickle down. So we see where the teachers and the civil servants have to be going into rebellion almost every year. Yet the parliamentarians give themselves a raise. And they spend $40 million on the Governor General mansion. And how much $1 million on the opposition leader fleet of cars. And all of these type of luxurious things these people doing. And the population can't get a road. See it. And we there a struggle for find rent and bus fare. And the tension and anxiety. We're afraid and the fear make us sick. And you go sick and there's no service. When those parliamentarians get sick, they get on a plane and they go to Miami. And they send their children to school in foreign. So we have to wake up from this illusion of two parties and realize it's one state. And regions have to begin to take control now. Regions, Northeast, Western Jamaica, have to start to take control and break down this concept of centralization. And we decentralize the country and allow people a chance to breed. There's a serious thing going on because there's enough resources. If the police and the teachers and the firemen and the government workers were paid properly, violence will cut 50%. So will criminal behavior. But there's the hustling and the struggling and the lack of attention by forces that must protect us who are not motivated. Teachers are not motivated to teach. Them struggling for land. Now they're forming new plans where they can get a house from NHT in less than 15 years and this in 5 years. All of these things could have been done years ago. So it just shows that there's no interest in the liberating the African race here. It's all about maintaining status. And so until we wake up as a black people and realize that those men and people called politicians, they don't really have any function. Realistically. And we begin to organize and run our own communities. Find ways to get our tax money to spend in our area. A rethinking with blackness as the foundation. Metamorphosis. David said, the political readjustment of the world means that those who are not sufficiently able, not sufficiently prepared, will be at the mercy of the organized classes for another 1 or 200 years. Check that. Marcus Garvey said, we of the African race are moving from one state of organization to another. And we shall so continue until we have thoroughly lifted ourselves into the organization of government. Marcus Garvey said that.
Mama get back for the condensed milk. Who leave the condensed milk for? Come here, you picky head, good for nothing. Mama get back and she got get hot. She pass some lashing, then you know what. Poverty in hell. Poverty in hell.
We must begin to reject the concept of poverty. Because Garvey tells us poverty is a hellish state to be in. It is no virtue. It is a crime. You are born poverty. Which means that we're not afraid of money. Because the lack of money is the root of much evil. The lack of money. Yeah. So we want power. Power in the consciousness. And the power really initially begins now within the I. The I must begin to develop a sense of self-esteem. Esteem means the value. So you begin to put value on your black self. And as you raise your self-esteem, you begin to induce power. Because as the esteem rises, so will the self-respect. It's a psychological rebirth that I and I have to undergo. So we resurrect our esteem. We resurrect our respect. And we resurrect our confidence. And of course, we are reminded that without confidence, we have lost, even before we have started. Metamorphosis. Yes, time is there. Give thanks for all ones and ones who have been sending through them things on the WhatsApp. So we'll give thanks for the link. People in Toronto, people in North America and USA, where there is, they have now become the United States of anxiety based upon the type of leadership. And anxiety leads to all sorts of psychological ailments. But the healing comes from self-knowledge. And the anxiety can be reduced if you understand what's happening globally and how to position yourself as an individual within the racial drama. So if we position ourselves within the race to give us a foundation to struggle for the organization and the centralization that is needed in this time. So we'll take the messages and we now spend the time to condemn the messenger. We have to take the message and we have to read it clearly, and then we are going to act on the message. Africans, whether on the continent or off the continent. Africans in the Caribbean, Haitians whether in Haiti or in Jamaica. And Jamaican people, whether you think you are Christian or not, you are a member of the black race. You could have bleached little more. The features are in your hair, they are in your eyes, they are in the skin, they are in the brain. Can't hide from yourself. You can disguise yourself, but you can't hide. Come out of the closet of whiteness and face up to the blackness. It's calm. It's peaceful. It's energy. It's the reality. Look out at nights. Look at what keeps the stars afloat. It's the blackness. There's an ocean. An infinite ocean. And at the center of that infinity rests the I. Yeah, man. Each eye is at the center of that infinity. So the eye becomes the center of power, center of reality. So Eli, Rastafari.
Jah rules amongst the gods.
This is no fantasy. This is reality. This is what someone keeps on doing to me. Someone keeps on reaping what I sow. That ain't right now. Who is the one I'd like to know? Won't ya tell me now? Someone keeps on reaping what I sow. That ain't right now. Who is the one I'd like to know? Do you think it is?
If you want to be informed about what's happening in the world of sport, you can check me on Facebook Live on Thursdays from 7 to 9, where sports is discussed from a perspective of sports as a site of resistance, a site of identity formation, economic development, a site of economic potential, and a site of liberation. So Thursday at Facebook Live, Doc Iman Blak. And on Saturday night live, Iman and Osa, Facebook Live. So we're making maximum use of the medium. So that's Thursday, 7 to 9 at Facebook Live, Doc Iman Blak, Thursday Sports, Thursday Night Sports. On Saturday Night Live, Iman and Osa, from 7 to 9. Going through the paces, liberating thoughts. So until then, ones and ones, just hold on to your blackness and improve the knowledge of the concept of the race. It's the reason for the swift, but if you're a sprinter, you got to be swift. So we are practical and we are adjusting to the times. So, Iman Blak saying, give thanks for another occasion. Head up to my engineer Cassidy and head up to Styles FM, people of Port Antonio, Pitchwee Hill, Cliffords, Sir Dunstan and Domino crew on Pitchwee Hill. Yeah, hail the man them. Hail the man them in the northeast, hail the people in St. Thomas, in St. Mary, St. Anne's, right across the island. And prosperity to the ones and ones living in the northern climes. Stay warm, holy vibration, sun will shine again. People in Africa, people in Europe, down under, Caribbean Islands, Bombrook, Lockman out.
It's the voice that sets me